Everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett here. Was so loud yesterday in this video, and then she just continued throughout the whole day. It is just so wild. Sometimes she just gets super loud. There was actually a couple times I went out in the living room and I like checked on her because I was like, "Are you okay?" Like sometimes she'll get like trapped in a certain spot or something in her cage, or she'll get herself into some sort of precarious situation as she goes about her day. Because she stays pretty busy in her cage. She's constantly moving things around and cleaning things up and climbing around, reorganizing things. And sometimes she'll get herself in a fix, and um, I have to go in there and rescue her. But I don't know what that was. But so yesterday I had kind of come to the conclusion that it was the application has gotten too big for me to sort of constantly keep in my brain, and I, so I started this mindmeister.com thing, and I started creating a visualization for my application. And one thing that became very clear to me is that like two dimensions just isn't enough, right? Like animations is sort of going to be absorbed in different things. And it's almost like, yeah, so I don't know. I'm not exactly sure where to go. But I do know that we have our showtime, and then there's three things, and we have our three. And then there's like doppelbangers, doppelgangers. So they sort of match. And in our interfaces, we kind of have this, but see, here in our three, we have like camera, geometry, material, and they're all like sort of, this implies that they're all at the same level, but actually, like inside of a renderer, a you have materials, or you have meshes, and inside of a mesh you have materials, and inside of a material you have inside of meshes you also have a geometry, which, like, I guess you could do that here, but I don't know. I think interfaces, I don't know. I guess that's the whole point to this thing, is to have those thoughts. So I know that so this should be Three.js. So let's say Three.js. Right, so we have our showtime, and then we actually have our Three.js, and then this is where our doppelgangers exist. But we also have a sibling of a visualization. And let's see what a visualization has in it. And see, like, inside of here we have a renderer. So this UI is actually pretty nice. I mean, it's pretty easy to deal with this. And then inside of our visualization, we have a link to the renderer. So I don't want to add a child. Let me escape. I want to, and yesterday I had figured out how to, I think I need to hit this little button here, and then is it like this? I wanted this. To connect to this, right? So a visualization has a renderer. And in some ways that's weird because the Three.js, one of the childs of the Three.js is a renderer. So can I move this down? I don't even know what that just tried to do. That was weird. And so I probably don't want this to be here. I would like it to be there. And then a visualization. Let's see what else is inside of a visualization. So we have our component, which is a Angular thing. So let's just add another sibling here. And I don't know if this is right. Like, this is literally my first time ever doing something like this. So, and a visualization has a reference to an Angular thing. So I think I hit this little button here and click this and connect it to there. rather connect it to there. Now, what was the deal with visualization? So visualization. Okay, so this one doesn't belong here. So anyways, so far so good. I don't like the way that looks, and this is just purely, I don't know what just happened there. I think I just tried to add a, can I move this like to be like that? Yeah, that's nice. And I guess the arrow goes the other way. Can I just swap the arrow? Yeah, that's nice. This is very nice. Whoever, the people that work on this, you guys did a good job. Visualization. So visualization has a renderer. So I guess the arrow goes the other way around. I don't know. So that's some fun stuff to think about. And it's probably a good idea to do something like this. I probably would not do this for work only because like I'd be afraid of getting in trouble for sharing, inadvertently, accidentally sharing data. It's very difficult to know exactly. Like if there's one thing I've seen people get fired for, programmers, good programmers who are talented. Like I've seen programmers make, I've seen more than once make $100,000 plus mistakes, like where they made a mistake that cost over $100,000 to organization more than once and never and not been fired. I've heard like a friend of mine that I really like a lot. His wife was a QA at Delta, and um, that her team made a mistake that cost over $1 billion, and not a single developer got fired. But sharing data on social media, I've seen three very good developers get fired for taking a screenshot of something they're working at and put it on their Facebook. So like sharing data like this is probably something in an organization that you work for is probably something that will actually get you fired. And it is hard to get fired when you are a good developer. Um, so, I probably would not. I would love to build something like this locally, or within our VPN, where I work, but I would never use sort of a third party, sort of just open website to build something like this. But anyways, that looks cool and it was interesting. Let's see, what are we at? We are at 8:34, so I still have a little bit of time. I'm going to close this down and get back to our job. So this is badass, guys. I mean, I'm sorry, but if that doesn't just get you going, then yeah, I don't know. You're different. Like we're different kinds of human beings because I love this so much, um, and I just think it's so awesome. I think I just could sit here and look at this, all these different things moving around, um, and I love the fact that now we know that you can only have 16 WebGLs in a browser. Like that is just, this is the kind of thing. Like so, I've worked at places we where I got hired in, and then they're like, "Oh, we're so glad we finally have a computer programmer on the team." Like I got hired in on a team that's been going for years, like 3 years, writing stories, writing test plans, writing all kinds of stuff, only to find out that like, oh, they assumed that you could just add as many visualizations as you wanted. And then you find out, no, you can only add 16. And we find out like 4 weeks into development. Well, by the way, one of the fundamental things that you were assuming was possible is not possible. And what you've been doing for 3 years is completely dependent on that assumption. And by the way, we can't even do that. So being able to like identify something like that early on, is really, really incredibly valuable and useful. Um, I do wish that it was sort of the other way around, where like at the top one was the slowest moving one and the bottom one was the fastest moving one. But all this functionality is all going down the drain is all going to be deleted anyways, because eventually what you're going to have, and hopefully very soon, is you're going to have like a little button here that you can just add these in as you want. And then that'll be cool. And then, anyways, there's so many things to do. And that was the whole point, is that we would have thousands of things to do, and that we'd scale up this application, and we'd just keep scaling up, and we would discover things that you just can't discover unless you're building a massive application. So that was the whole point. So anyways, I do think that we are at a good commit point. So the first step is just to go through all the code and just look to see if there's anything here we don't want to save. So it looks like we added our layout service, our hash service. I think all this is just a comma. This change here is just the comma at the end there. So that was nice. Okay, and our HTML, we got rid of our style, and we added a, what is this called? An Angular reference variable? Template reference variable. We added a template reference variable. I just cannot believe in meetings and when you're communicating with your other developer friends and other people like that, how much easier it is to effectively communicate when you know the right words. And I guess that's the dumbest sounding thing ever. Obviously, knowing the right words is going to help you, but it is amazing how many times people don't know the right words and all that. So this is a template reference variable. It's got the little hash mark in there. Yeah, it's funny, huh, Rhett? Okay, so I think this is all throwaway code, but that, we're doing, but maybe not. Yeah, I don't think we're going to need our animation service in here in the future. I don't think we'll need our visualization service in here, but we will need this. But yeah, and I think we're going to do this in the future. That's what kicks off the whole animation scheme. So that, I think, is going to happen. Basically, in this in the constructor, we're going to start our request animation frame up and all that. And I think all that code looks clean. And then, yeah, this is what kicks it on. For some reason, I did not plug my computer on, and it's about to die. There we go. Emergency averted. Okay, so this is what kicks everything. This is what kind of gets everything rolling. And then this is what kicks it up, just starts it. So then it's going to start on a circle. It's just going to keep. This is garbage. This is garbage. It's what draws these things out. We need it for now, but we won't need it. And what I realized thinking about it was when I run my unit tests, this will help. Actually, I should get 100% coverage. If I don't get 100% coverage, that means I have some dead code. And I need to take a good close look at that dead code to see, if we need to keep it. So here's our visualization component. Yeah, so we added this new component variable so that we can know if it's ever been turned on, because we were trying to move it around, and if it's already been placed, don't do that. And then I guess maybe we should change it has been placed, but I'm going to leave that as initialized. And then this is a function that basically makes it possible for that. Now, one thing that I had done that I've never done before is from the parent, I actually call this function. So I get a reference to the view child, which is the actual component, and then in the app component, I actually call this function. I hadn't ever done that before. It worked. It was clean as a whistle. It was nice. Nice baby. All right, so what do we do here? We added some new stuff. Okay, so we added our native element, looks like, or did we get rid of our native element? Looks like we got rid of our native element, and we actually added an ST visualization instead. I don't remember that. There's definitely a gap in my memory. Oh, I did something in ST triple? Oh, okay, all I did was add the semicolons, trying to be a little bit more consistent. I don't know why. I'm very blind to these sorts of non-coding things. You know, it works either way. So for some reason, my brain just um, filters it out. But when anybody's looking at the code, that's sort of a smell, right? Like if they see that there's inconsistency, it really bothers some people. It actually emotionally breaks some people. Um, I remember working for this girl that like I can't see fonts. Like if you point it out, I can see the little curlies or not curlies and stuff like that. But I had a friend that could like see 1,000 different fonts, and she could name them all out and all that. And whenever she would go to a web page and they had like different fonts mixed in, it would literally hurt her, physically hurt her. Like she could feel physical pain whenever that happened. So we added some new stuff. Okay, so that's the left and right and all that, because that's basically everything we're doing. Is this kind of sums up everything we were trying to do. We aren't doing anything with manual placement. What I do want is to eventually be able to just click this and drag it. And then I don't know, like if you were to drag it, if all of these guys should replace themselves, like if that should, or if these guys should just stay wherever they're at. But and is something animation service TypeScript. So we added our visualization service. We got an instance of it. We didn't. I don't. I don't. I think it's already created. I think the way Angular works is it sees if there's anybody who ever injects it, and if they do, when the application bootstraps, it creates a visualization service, or it creates a service that you're going to use, and then here it just gives you a reference to it. And so then they're all what's known as singletons. It's just one, and everybody shares it. Ooh, so we have some console logs that I want to get rid of. So let's do that. And then we got a bunch of white space. And so this is our animation service, and this is the thing that gets executed that knows how to place things, and it will not place it if it has not been initialized, I believe. Or maybe it doesn't call it has value. So it should only call this if it's something changes, and then I guess, yeah, I don't know exactly where the determining whether it should be skipped or not is. I do know we're doing that, but so like that, if I'm right now, that's just reality. I can't grasp everything. I don't remember exactly where we check that, and it's fine. But when you're coding, you do not want that sort of confusion. Because then you start adding confusion on top of confusion on top of confusion, and you can end up getting stuff working, but A, it's extraordinarily stressful for you, and B, at some point you may need to explain what's going on. And if you can't, if you've done a bunch of like, oh, I'm not sure, I think this will work, and you're just trying stuff, it's gonna be there. So here's our spec that was generated. We're gonna be messing with that soon. Here's our hash service. All it does is take a string and return a hash, I think. I think we use ChatGPT to build that. Here's our visualization spec, and here's our visualization service. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of these things. So historically, I would have been ready at this point to do a commit, but I am not ready. Ooh, there's a console log. But I'm not ready to do it because one of the rules that I decided to put on myself, at least for the moment, is I want 100% test coverage. And I don't want a fake 100%. I want to be able to also go into my app component, HTML. Is that right? Oh, so yeah, I want to be able to go to my app component TypeScript and get rid of, comment all of these out, all these create renders and animate visualizations, run it again and still get 100%. I don't want to get like 100% because it got called in the when the app component got called. So where are we at now? 8:46. I think I have time to try to run my, I think it's npm run test. I believe it's going to pop up a browser that is completely like takes over my whole upper screen up there, and takes over the whole screen, and so I have to resize it. You'll notice that I added -- watch and -- code coverage to the call, and that's inside of my packages.json. So if you look in my packages.json and you look at the scripts, there's my npm test, and I've added -- watch. So watch will make it to where when I'm working on unit tests, it just automatically updates them, and the code coverage will generate a whole little website that shows all the code in the entire application, and tells you what percentage of the code is covered. And obviously, right now I'm expecting 100% test coverage. I believe it'll also tell me in the screen here. It does take a minute to run, but tomorrow I think I'll probably be working. So it broke right off the bat. And that's because we removed the title from that. So that test is no longer even useful, but it broke and won't even like do any kind of testing because of that. So basically we want to go to this. I think I can hold the control button down and click on this and it'll take me to it. And then we don't even want this test anymore. And I hit save, and I believe it'll respawn itself. Now there, right here on the page over here, we're getting it. It looks like it is running, but I want to see, at this point I'd rather see, oh, it looks like it ever. So everything succeeded. Where are we on time? 8:48. All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at our coverage, our test coverage. And the easiest way to do that, I don't know if I can use this same, there's some goofy stuff about the browser. If we take this index file and we drag it into a browser like this, so we did not get 100% coverage, and I was expecting to get 100% coverage, but it looks like there's some code that's inside of app that never got called. Oh, so that is probably a function. So what we can do now, see we have 57%, 87%, 40%. So we can click in and we can see what is not getting called in app. Okay, so this never got called because we waited a little bit. So I don't know if it's worth. So let's go ahead and get rid of all of that. And then the ng after viewInit never got called. And then setup visualizations never got called. And that's because it only happens on ng view after viewInit. So that will be interesting because this is a challenge that I've had in places. I'm gonna have to figure out how to test ng viewInit. So we're at 8:50. So let's do this. I wonder what happens if I do. If I go to ChatGPT, I don't think this browser knows anything about me. Yeah, so like it's kind of a bummer. Let's go. Okay, so I'm just gonna kill this. And let's just do a quick ask of ChatGPT how to unit test ng after. Let's go in here. This will just kind of give me something to think about because tomorrow I need to do this. Let's just copy this. So this should just give me like kind of a 30,000 foot. It requires a few key steps because of this slice. scenario, unit test, create the component, trigger the change, verify the expected evolve. So here, text component, fixture.detect. So I guess that this is what, okay, yeah. So they even give a nice little comment. So it looks like I need to do this. I hate that sort of thing where like it seems like this should be more like execute life cycles or something like that. Detect changes is like, what? But anyway, so it looks like maybe if we just add a function that literally does this, just calls detect changes, that the problem would go away. You got to make sure you put this comment here, because basically everyone's just going to copy and paste this. You know, oh, I don't have it working. Okay, let me go copy this, and then they'll just move on. So you might end up with 10 developers copy and pasting this before you get to another developer that kind of wants to understand what's going on. That needs to, you only need like one in so many developers to understand what's going on. And the one that is going to, the future you, let's say you're the developer that understands what's going on in your environment. The future you, the other you that comes along, that it's so nice if there's more than just one developer that knows what's going on, will really benefit from this comment here. But yeah, so I do like though that this actually also gives information. Yeah, you probably should. I've never really thought about it. You probably should have a unit test that says, hey, its job is to text stuff after viewing it. But anyways, it is 8:53. I have 7 minutes before I have to start work. That's probably about the perfect amount of time. What this video is 27 minutes long. I thought it was a good video though. I guess the videos are going to start taking a little longer because I probably will start, at least for the next couple weeks, with my mind map. Just sort of getting my head in the right place. Oh man, I just saw, I have this let's get rid of it. Actually, let's do a search for console log. There's 2 of them. They're so necessary and such a pain in the butt. Like you just, honestly, you can't, I don't think you can effectively you can't be an effective coder without being able to console log things, without being very comfortable console logging and using your console. But you really don't want to use console log. I mean, you don't want that to get into production for so many reasons. I mean, there's so many reasons that you don't want that to get into production. But, you know, at the very least, for your own sake, it's really nice to not have to dig through thousands of console logs to figure out when something is broken. But that's literally the tip of the iceberg. Anyways, everybody, happy coding, happy Friday. It is February, April 4th. April 4th, 404 day. Resource not found day. Anyways, everybody take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Bye.